Hello guys, how are you? We start our lecture today regarding thesis seminar, and my name is Professor Aftab Khan. You know me, and we discussed so many things before in the previous weeks, and in the continuation of those lectures, we discuss today regarding how to make an observations and information of the topic, hypothesis, concept definitions of hypothesis, operational definitions, gathering of data, analysis of data, interpretation, test revising of hypothesis, and conclusion reiteration if necessary regarding the hypothesis. Okay, I hope you will learn this lecture and enjoy this lecture, and it is a collective learning. Okay, so observations, basically generally research is understood to follow a certain structural process. Okay, so steps order may vary depending on the subjects, matters, and researchers. The following steps are usually part of most formal research, both basic and applied. Okay, so the first step of the structure or the basic structure is observations and formation of the topic. Okay, it consists of the subject area of one's interest and following that subject area to conduct subject related to the research. The subject area should not be randomly chosen since it requires reading a vast amount of literature on the topic. To determine the gap in the literature the researcher intends to narrow, a keen interest in the chosen subject area is advisable. The researcher the research will have to be justified by linking its importance to already existing knowledge about the topic. Okay, and then the hypothesis. We already discussed hypothesis so many times before, that what are the hypotheses is and what is hypothesis. So basically, and we also know this, that hypotheses are the assumptions. Hypothesis is not a question. This is the difference between a question and assumptions. Okay, and then hypothesis. Okay, a thing which is start by the question mark, which is end by the question mark, and it starts with a questionary sentence. For example, what, when, how, where, if. Okay, so these are the questionary sentences, and if something is any sentence is basically starting with this, so in the very end we will write a question mark, which means that it is a question. Any sentence which is coming, which is starting with a questionary sentence, and in the very end a question mark is coming, it means that it is a uh, it is a uh, it is a it is a question. Okay, it is not a hypothesis. So hypotheses basically are the assumptions. Hypotheses are the assumptions. Hypothesis will never be a question. Okay, and what are the assumptions? Attestable predictions, which is prediction means forecast. Attestable hypotheses are the testable forecasts, which designates the relationship between two or more variables. So this is the proper definition of hypothesis. A testable prediction which designates, okay, which designates the relationship between two or more variables. This is known as the hypothesis. And what are the variables? Something which is change, something which is vary. Always we remember, my dear students, there are two types of variables. And what are they? The first one is the dependent variable. The second one is the independent variable. Okay. So if on what is the dependent variable? The dependent variable basically are those variables which something which is dependent on another thing. Okay, if we change this, so other things will also be changed. This is known as a dependent variable because it depends on the other things. And independent variable are those variables which is unchangeable, something which is change and the other thing which is not change. okay, which is not rely. Dependency means relying or on other things, and this is a very important thing. Okay, so hypothesis basically is a testable prediction which designates the relationship between two or more variables or vice versa. Okay, so this is the conceptual definition, and it describes the concept of relating it to other concepts. Okay, it describes the concepts which relates to the other concepts. And what are they? The first one is the operational definition of hypothesis. The operational definition of hypothesis is that these are the details in regards to defining the variable and how they will be measured, addressed in the study. Okay, and then so this is the operational definition of the hypothesis. And then gathering of data. Gathering of data means that to accumulate the data. Data means, what is the meaning of data? Data means information. So gathering data means gathering the information. It consists of identifying a population and selecting samples, gathering informations from or about these samples by using specific research instruments. The instruments used for data collection must be valid and reliable. Okay, it must be valid and reliable. The instruments which we are using the data, which we are analyzing the data, must be valid and must be reliable. Okay, and then the analysis of data, it involves breaking down the individual pieces of data to draw conclusions about it. Okay, this is the analysis of data. If somebody asks you in your life that, well, how do you analyze your data, or what is your data analysis? So the data analysis means information analysis, how you analyze your information. It involves the breaking down of the individual pieces of data to draw conclusions of it. This is known as the data analysis. And then data interpretation. Interpretation means summary. Data means information. So data interpretation means information summarizing. Information summary. Okay, so how you do you summarize your information? This can be represented through tables, through charts, through figures. This can be also be represented with the help of pictures, and then describe it in words. Always remember, you have seen so many tables or charts, and below the charts or below the table, a description is coming at the bottom of all the charts, of all the tables, all the figures, all the pictures which we are seeing in that research, or in an article, or in a research paper. Okay, so below the chart or below the picture or below the table, we must give them a data interpretation in the form of a proper description. And then test revising of hypothesis. And then test revising of the hypothesis means that there will be a testing and involved to test the hypothesis, test the assumption. And how do you will do the testing? It's very simple. For example, if for example you are the law students, and basically if you are the law students, so definitely you people are doing 90% of the law students researches are those people are doing researches in the basis of qualitative analysis. Okay, so if you are doing on the basis of the qualitative analysis, so definitely you will do a simple research which is based on the we can say this on the modeling or the analysis, okay, or the comparison tables of two or more variables, for example Pakistan or South Korea, or etc., Indonesia or South Korea, etc. Okay, so you are doing a comparison, but always be remember that in the qualitative research also a very minor statistics or a mathematics also involve. Okay, and that is known as the mean value. That is also known as the average value. Average means that the numbers of the total population, the number of the total divided by the number of the total information divided by the number of population. This is known as the average value. This is known as the mean value. Okay, and but for example, that if you want to do any quantitative research, then the whole scenario will be that the very first thing to test the hypothesis, or the very first tool, this is known as the SPSS. SPSS means statistical programming for social sciences. That's how you will find out your data analysis or testing your hypothesis in a proper manner. Okay, so my dear students, that if you are doing any quantitative analysis, so definitely in the quantitative analysis you will find an average or the mean value first, then you will find a variance, then you will find a standard deviation, then you have to find coefficient of variance, then you have to, after the finding the coefficient of variance, then you will find the regression. After regression, what you will do, you will find the confidence level. The confidence level means Z testing and the T testing. After the confidence level, how much population is confident and how much you are confident about these informations which you gathered from different surveys, different you can say different observations, okay, different interviews, questions, okay, and mainly surveys, questionnaires with the help of the open-ended question or the close-ended questions, or whatever the questions you are making in your survey, in your market analysis. Then you will analyze it, that what is the confidence level, of your findings. Okay, what is the confidence level of your findings? And this is a very, believe me, this is a very important thing. Okay, and then if the confidence level, which is the T testing or the Z testing, it depending on the requirement of your research, the T testing will be comes below one digit, then it will be acceptable, or if it is coming over one digit, then it will not be acceptable. But this is a scenario of the quantitative research work. If, for example, if you are my students and if you are doing a research which based on the quantitative analysis, then you have to do this. But in the qualitative analysis, very minor statistics involved in this. And what is the statistic? Just a mean value or the average value to make a comparison, which is known as plus minus and division. And then if you will find a you will find a value after this, then you can be achievable to make or to summarize a proper result, a proper conclusion. Okay, and after conclusion you will do the findings, and after the findings you will the last thing will be the implications, and after the implications your reference headache will come there in a proper manner. Okay, so this is the pattern, how you will do this, how you will do your how you will summarize your research work in a proper manner. Okay, and then a common misconception is that a hypothesis will be proved. See, rather null hypothesis. Generally, okay. So null hypothesis. What is a null hypothesis? A null hypothesis and a hypothesis in which H and then a small zero is coming. that is known as the null hypothesis. Null hypothesis basically are already a proven hypothesis. Okay, and hypothesis which is already proven. And then after null hypothesis, there will be another hypothesis which is not be proven, and you are testing this with the help of the null hypothesis. So basically what's going on here? It's a very simple thing. It is a testing thing. It is, you are comparing the two things, okay, and then you are experimenting, or which is a hypothesis which is already approved, and then a hypothesis which is not approved at all. Okay, and then generally a hypothesis is used to make predictions that can be tested by observing the outcome of an experimental things. So if the outcome is constitutes, if the outcome is basically consistent with the hypothesis, then the hypothesis is rejected. See the falsibility. However, if the outcome is consistent with the hypothesis, the experiment is said to support the hypothesis. This careful language is used because researchers recognize that alternative hypotheses may also be consistent with the observations. In this sense, a hypothesis can never be proven, but rather only supported by surviving rounds of scientific testing and eventually becoming widely thought of as a true hypothesis. Okay, so these are the assumptions, and we need to understand this. We need to know about the hypothesis in a proper manner. Okay, a useful hypothesis allows prediction, and within the accuracy of observation of the time, the prediction will be verified. Okay, the prediction will be verified. As the accuracy of observation improves with time, the hypothesis may no longer provide an accurate prediction. In this case, a new hypothesis will arise to challenge the old one. Okay, and to extent that the new hypothesis makes more accurate predictions than the old one, the new will supplant it. Okay, so the researchers can also use the null hypothesis, which states no relationship or difference between independent or dependent variable. Okay, so what is the null hypothesis? Null hypothesis states that there will be no relationship between dependent or and independent variables. This is known as the null hypothesis. This is known as the null hypothesis. There will be no dependent or dependent variables. Okay, so the historical research research method is this, that the historical method comprises the techniques and guidelines by which historians and historical sources and other evidence to research and then to write history. These are basically various there are various history guidelines that are commonly used by historians in their work under the headings of external criticism, internal criticism of research and synthesis. This includes lower criticism and sensual criticism, though items may vary depending on the subject matter and the researchers. The following concepts are part of most formal historical research. Okay, so the first one is the identification of origin date. The second one is the evidence of localization. The third one is the recognition of authorship. The fourth one is the analysis of data. The fifth one is the identification of integrity. And the last one is the attribution of credibility. So this is the basically the history of the historical research. Okay, and then the artistic research. In the old ages or in the past ages, we can say this, that this is the evolution of hypothesis and how a research came into being, and with the help of the hypothesis, how research develops a scenario which is basically conceptualizing in today's world or in the modern world. So the controversial trend of artistic teaching become more academics oriented is leading to artistic research is being accepted by the primary mode of inquiry in art as in the case of other disciplines. One of the characteristics of artistic research is that it must be accept subjectivity as opposed to the classical scientific method, as it opposed, such as it is similar to the social sciences in using qualitative research and intersubjectivity as tools to apply measurements and critical analysis. Okay, so this is a very important thing and we need to know this. Okay, so there are some steps in conducting research. So what are the steps which we already discussed, and I am repeating it again for your more development of your understanding. And what are they? This, the first one is the identification of the research problem. What is the research problem? You need to identify a proper research problem, okay, a valid research problem. Then literature review. Literature review basically is a review which you will find in different data, different from different sources, from different places in the from Google's, and you will make a footnote or the end note, or the, we can say this in the very end, in the very end of the research you will give them a proper referencing. And then specifying the purpose of research. What is the purpose of your research? Why you want to do this research in a proper manner? Okay, so the purpose of research must be very effective. Okay, and then determining specific research questions. You must need to determine your research questions in a proper manner. And then conceptualizing a specification of a conceptual framework. Okay, to specifying a conceptual framework. And then the choice of a methodology, the choice how you collect your data collection. And then data collection, verifying the data. How you will do this? With the help of the testing. But in the qualitative analysis, a very small testing involved, and which is a average or a mean value, and that's it, plus minus, that's it. Okay, and then analyzing and interpreting the data, analyzing and summarizing the data, summarizing the information. Okay, and then reporting and evaluating the research work, and then communicating the research findings and possible recommendations, what you got in your research in the very ending stage. These are the steps of conducting a positive research, or conducting a research which has a weightage, okay, which has a professional value in your professional career. Okay, so I hope, my dear students, you will learn this lecture, you will enjoy this lecture, okay, and you will enjoy, or you will find these informations will be very helpful for your can say this, that for your professional career, for your learning, for your conceptual development regarding the research work, how to write an effective research in a proper manner, in a justifiable manner. Okay, and this is a very important thing, believe me. And if you will do this, definitely you will learn a lot in your findings. And basically it is a very healthy and an effective research work. And if we can say this, that with the help of these findings, you will find a highest level of success rate regarding your examination point of view, and regarding your understanding level as well. And with the help of this, you will build a lot of understanding, and you will build your understanding level in a proper manner, in a justifiable manner. And you know this, that how you will conduct your research, or how you will determine or analyze your data collection and hypothesis and identification of a specific research problem and literature review and the purpose of the research and to determine the specific research questions, how you will determine the specific research questions, data collection, verifying data analysis, and interpreting the data, reporting and evaluating the research and communicating the research in the form of a proper recommendation. Okay, so this is all about today's lecture. I hope you will learn this, you will enjoy this, and my dear students, that stay tuned and keep hard working, keep learning. And if you want to know anything from my side, let me know via email, and I will help you. Definitely, I will let you know about all the questions which you want to ask. And research is a very easy thing, believe me. And if you know these type of essential tools, you can never be failed in your research. You always be successful. Okay, so thank you very much and goodbye till the next week.